Okay, what's up guys? Jordan Bain here, Chewin the Fact, episode 13. Today's topic of conversation is why your Facebook ads do not work, okay? Now, when I talk about Facebook ads, many of you are familiar with boosting. A few of you might be across running ads through the business manager or through the ads manager. But what I'm going to talk about today is basically putting all of those into one category, okay? So to quickly separate both, if you're doing any paid advertising through social media, or particularly through Facebook, you've got two ways of doing that. You can post something on your feed, or on your page, sorry, I should say, and then it'll give you that option to boost the post. We've all seen that big blue button at the bottom. You boost the post, it extends it out to more people, blah, 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 right? I'm not gonna dive into detail of the boost too much. The alternative option to that, of course, is there is a separate platform that is still owned by Facebook. It's actually called the Facebook Business Manager. Now, this is where marketers run social media ads or social media traffic through, okay? Much more diverse, you can target much broader audiences. You can essentially split tests in complete detail. There's just so much more you can do, right? So if you're unfamiliar with the Business Manager, I'm not gonna take the time to explain it in complete detail in this video. I'm gonna simply explain in real estate terminology why your ads aren't working if you are using that. At the same time, of course, if you're currently boosting, then your ads wouldn't be working anyway. Boosting is just an absolute revenue raising tool by Facebook, and they do an excellent job at it. If you're still putting money into boosts, you're basically just paying Facebook to do not a great deal of work. Anyway, again, I'm not gonna dive into that. But essentially, two ways of running paid marketing or paid advertising through Facebook. One is the ads manager or the business manager. If you haven't been there before, just go into a search engine, type in the URL business.facebook.com. Okay, so it's not facebook.com, it's business.facebook.com. You connect an ad account, you connect your business page to that ad account, and then you can run ads like a proper marketer would. So anyway, what are we talking about? We're talking about why your ads aren't working. So essentially the reason your ads aren't working is because you're targeting a cold audience, okay? That's it, it's so simple. That's the only reason your ads aren't working, is because you're targeting a cold audience. Let me explain in terminology that's gonna make complete sense to you, okay? What I want you to think about for a second is I want you to think about picking up the phone and dialing out 30 cold calls. If you pick up the phone today and make 30 cold calls, what are the chances of you getting a listing? Pretty slim, right? And the reason for that is because those people who are on the other end of the line simply just don't know you, they don't trust you, you're probably interrupting their day, you're probably pissing them off, right? Whereas if you were to flip that around, flip the script, and let's consider for a moment if you were to make 30 calls to your database. Warm contacts, people who you've spoken to before, people who trust you, who recognize you, who have some authority created with you, credibility, reputation, all that other stuff that I've spoken about in previous videos. All of a sudden, the chances of getting a listing through 30 warm calls become far greater, right? Because the trust is there, the frequency is there, okay? You're not targeting a cold audience anymore. So essentially, when it comes to running social media ads or social media traffic, regardless of how great your experience is, how great your track record is, how great your reputation is, you're targeting a cold audience, right? Another analogy to help you understand it better, this is pretty much the equivalent of doing a letterbox drop campaign, putting something in someone's letterbox drop, or putting something into someone's letterbox once, and then not backing it up again for another 4 weeks, right? Or 12 weeks or 12 months, whatever it is, right? They're only gonna see it, they might see your face, they might recognize you, whatever it might be, but then they've forgotten about you as soon as they've chucked your crappy marketing into the bin. Exactly the same as a cold call. Sure, you probably piss them off when you phone them, but ultimately they're gonna probably get off the call and forget about who you are anyway. They won't remember your name and they'll get on with their day. Whereas again, with more of a warm audience, you have more influence over those people. So the reason your ads aren't working, or the reason your boosts aren't working, for the record, boosts never work. But anyway, the reason they're not working is because you're targeting a cold audience, right? So let me explain what we do instead. What we want to basically try and do, and all of the agents that we work with, all of the clients that we work with, our first priority is to create a warm audience. What we're trying to do is build your reputation, introduce you to the marketplace. If you don't have a reputation, that's the first priority. But if you do have a strong reputation, a strong track record, even 20 or 30% market share, we need to reintroduce you to the market, right? Because even though you have an offline database, and what I mean by offline is I refer to your CRM, we need to create an online database or an online CRM, okay? And we do this through what's called the Facebook Pixel, okay? If you don't know what a pixel is, again, I'm not going to explain it now. I'm trying to keep these videos short and sharp. But essentially what a pixel is, it's like a data source. It's basically where data is captured and held. Now, when I refer to data, I don't necessarily mean data that you can extract in terms of names and numbers and addresses and things like that. It's behavioral data, okay? Activity data. So it allows us then to then retarget or re-engage with people who have previously shown interest in your business or comparable businesses, right? So your competitors. So if people have shown interest in your competitors' businesses, it allows us to basically target people who are actually in real estate mode as well, right? Now that's not so much through to the tick pixel, that's a lot of the algorithm and the targeting, the detailed targeting that Facebook encompasses, right? So what you want to try and do is your first phase of when you first start running Facebook ads is pretty much the equivalent of day one in your real estate career. Pick up the fucking phone and start dialing, right? Start cold calling people. Now, day one of your real estate career, most people aren't really trying to build a listing or get a listing straight away. Day one of your real estate career, you're trying to build relationships, okay? You're trying to build relationships with people that may be selling in the foreseeable future that you can continue to contact over a longer period of time. Those eventual touch points, that eventual frequency will build enough trust. Once you've got the trust, hopefully you get an opportunity to get in the door and present to them and you do the rest from there. So essentially, this is what the exact same thing you need to do with running Facebook ads. Regardless of how great your reputation is and how long you've been in the industry, you've got to start again. And this is why most successful agents, don't want to do it, because they don't want to start again with their social media. They don't want to start from zero because their egos are too fucking big that they don't want to start from scratch again, right? They want to just keep leveraging what's already working for them and just keep doing whatever they're doing, which leaves a massive door open for those up and coming, those emerging elite agents, the ones who are doing 2, 3, 4, 500K plus. The door's wide open for those people because you're still trying to create a reputation for yourself. You've started the momentum, and the only thing that's separating you to the $1 million agents, the $1 million plus agents, is that frequency, that reputation, okay? That trust, the credibility, the authority that goes with it. So ultimately, as I said before, most $1 million agents, we work with plenty of $1 million agents, but there's so many that we don't because their egos are too big for their own good. And again, they don't want to start from zero again. But it's not so much starting from zero, you're just creating an additional database. Okay, that's the way you've got to look at it. You want to create an additional database outside your everyday CRM. Okay, that's probably the best way to describe it. You've got your real estate CRM, your everyday CRM that you call through every single day, and that's where you nurture your tasks and whatever else. Create a second CRM. The best thing about the second CRM is that Facebook does all of the heavy lifting for you. Okay? There's no shortcuts here. You've got to still pay your way to capture that data. But it's basically, it's essentially free. I know it's not free, but it's essentially free. You're not actually working for it. It's not your own effort and time that's going in to collect this data like day one in real estate. Just pay some money to Facebook and Facebook will capture that data for you, provided you set up your Facebook ads the correct way, give it the right guidelines, give it the right strategy, target the right audiences. And then all of a sudden, you're going to create this real estate centric audience inside your Facebook, okay? So, to answer the original question of why you're not generating any leads or any opportunities through Facebook, you're targeting a cold audience. So what you need to do to begin with is you need to saturate your market, collect as much behavioral data as you can, and then turn on what's called retargeting, which will then continuously follow these people around the internet day in, day out, and build trust, build frequency, build touch points on autopilot for you, which in turn, if you can do that enough, it creates reputation, creates credibility, creates authority. Guess what? In turn, it creates listings. It creates opportunities. It gets you in more doors. It gets you more recognized. You'll be walking down the street and someone will say, oh, you're that guy from Facebook. You're that girl from Facebook. I see you in my newsfeed every day, right? Or people will stop you at open homes and they'll say, I see you all in my newsfeed. The exact same way as I'm targeting your newsfeed on a daily basis as well, right? Retargeting is what you need. You need to create a warm audience and then saturate them as much as you can. Saturation builds frequency, frequency builds trust, trust creates opportunities. Now, I want to throw a quick one in here as well. There is a very fine line of integrity that we need to tiptoe as agents between showing up too much and just straight up pissing people off, and they're probably going to block you. Not a bad thing if they block you, of course, because they're probably never going to be your clients anyway, but you do run that risk of jeopardizing your personal brand. At the same time though, there's the fine line of not showing up enough and then just being forgotten about, right? And it's been put into the category of every other real estate agent that's in your area. That sweet spot is exactly what we've mastered. So if you want to talk about it more, there's probably links everywhere. I'll probably show up in your Facebook feed soon enough anyway. Just book in a call and we'll talk about it, right? We have mastered the frequency of hitting people's news feeds on a regular basis that doesn't piss people off, but keeps you there often enough that you don't get forgotten about, okay? Targeting that warm audience. Now, the other thing there as well, of course, is to mention any of the savvy people out there, and I've got to throw this in as well, because if anyone's out there who understands Facebook ads, yes, of course, there's the iOS update that has turned off tracking and whatever else. To be completely transparent with you, we've barely seen a shift. Most people have to turn off their tracking, which I find most people don't actually do. Even the ones who do it, you're turning on the frequency level enough anyway with your cold ads, so people are still seeing you every single month as it is, right? So you're still gonna have your face in their newsfeed. Anyway, moral of it is, I'll wrap this up. You're targeting a cold audience, start creating a warm audience, and then turn on the frequency levels. Hit their newsfeed enough so they don't get pissed off, but don't forget about you. Anyway, hopefully that helps. Talk to you soon. See ya.